In India, preparing for a competitive exam is a multi-year commitment. It demands thousands of hours of intense study and often drains a family's life savings just to cover the coaching fees. Recently, that immense effort collided with widespread irregularities in the NEET examination. Millions of candidates walked out of testing centers only to find their results questioned and their immediate futures entirely uncertain. This timeline shows major public exams in India since 2016. Red indicators mark persistent leaks and recruitment delays. For students, it's a cycle of failure. Preparation leads to an exam, a leak, cancellation, and ultimately zero accountability. For the families backing these students, the financial blow is severe. Years of carefully accumulated savings vanish the moment a test paper surfaces on social media, leaving them with no refunds and no clear path forward. This cycle has pushed students past the point of quiet frustration. The private despair of studying for a broken system has spilled out into the open, turning into an urgent public demand for justice. The mobilization started digitally in May of 2026. Online campaigns demanding examination integrity gained sudden traction, organized in part by student groups like the Cockroach Janta Party. By June, those online campaigns moved into the physical world. Protesters occupied Jantar Mantar, a location with a long history of hosting massive, peaceful demonstrations right in the center of Delhi. The encampment quickly grew in scale. The arrival of students from multiple states signaled that the movement had reached a national scale, drawing participants from across the country to join the sit-ins. By late June, activist Sonam Wangchuk initiated a hunger strike in support of the students. Media coverage intensified, broadcasting the daily reality of the protests to a wider audience. Occupying physical space in the capital forced the government to acknowledge the movement as a significant national crisis. It placed thousands of organized protesters steps away from central government offices. On July 20th, organizers called for a Chalo Sansad, or a march to Parliament. But Parliament was locked down behind heavy security barricades as the session was active. When the crowds reached the restricted zone, the standoff turned physical. Police deployed tear gas and baton charges to scatter the demonstrators near the barricades. Authorities stated that the Parliament area is a high-security zone, and the march lacked permission to enter. Protesters and rights organizations responded that the police response was excessive, affecting peaceful demonstrators. The movement brought a specific list of demands to the capital. They are calling for independent investigations and systemic reforms, with an emphasis on enacting strict anti-paper leak laws and ensuring transparency in recruitment. The government agreed to meet with representatives and promised faster action against those responsible for the leaks. However, talks have stalled over the demand for the Union Education Minister's resignation, which the state has refused to grant. The clash at the barricades physicalized a broken contract between the state and its youth. It revealed a gap between a government promising opportunity and a generation that has stopped believing in it. Since July 20th, the demographics of the protests have changed. Civil society organizations, public activists, and opposition politicians have joined the original student groups at Jantar Mantar. This shift has sparked a debate within the movement. While some argue that broader support provides more leverage, others worry that the overlap with political interests may distract from the core focus on education reform. By late July, the situation reached a stalemate. Protesters remained active under heightened security in Delhi, while inconclusive talks between student leaders and the government continued. Political analysts are watching this carefully. The grievances center on education and employment, the core pillars of institutional trust for millions of families across the country. The movement represents a generational crisis of trust. It leaves the viewer to consider if a future can be built on a foundation that students no longer believe in.